Hey everyone and welcome. As you may be aware, I did actually say in a recent video in regards to Islamist extremism that we were disproportionately looking for a bogeyman, i.e. the far right. And it seems that that has been confirmed now with a report from the Henry Jackson Society. Disproportionate focus on far right is stopping anti-terror programs from preventing Islamist extremism, reports find. And why are we disproportionately focusing on far right? Well, I'll explain that later on in a video, so you'll have to wait until find out.
And I do believe that we have rotten politics, and I'm not using that as an exaggeration.
It's claimed that political correctness has resulted in a fundamental mismatch between the terror threat posed by Islamic extremism and the focus paid to it by Prevent and Channel. Now, if you're not too sure who that is, Prevent we all know about, don't we? Channel are the ones that run the deradicalisation programs. The programs that the London Bridge attacker was in. And reportedly, so was the most recent David Amos MP attacker as well. So they're doing a good job, aren't they, these deradicalisation programs? The government's main anti-extremism programs. Out of all referrals to Prevent, only 24% involved potential Islamist extremism, and only 30% of those cases were actually passed on to the Channel deradicalisation program. That doesn't work. At the same time, 22% of Prevent cases involved far-right extremists, with 43% of those cases being referred to Channel. Now, I thought we'd have a look at the disparity when it comes to this, and the disproportionate representation within these. Now, as you can see, this is the areas of England and Wales by ethnicity. The one we're looking for is the Asian one, so there we go, Asian. So overall, I'd say about 4-5% of the population is Islam, and yet jihadists make up more than 90% of the 43,000 people on the Security Service's MI5 terror watch list, as well as being responsible for the vast number of people imprisoned for terror offences, with Islamists making up 73% of terrorist inmates in Britain. That was in March last year. 73% and 90%. And that's the proportion of people we've got here. So it's a much bigger problem than they're making out. And I think that that's probably the reason why they're going after the right so much. I think they're after equivalency, i.e. if they can prove that the far right are just as big of a threat, then they can state that terrorism's just part of British culture. Am I wrong on that? And which would then enable them to keep shipping people in because they're not doing anything different than anybody else. Am I wrong? Absolutely disgraceful. And if you think anything's going to change, think about this. Between Labour and the Lib Dem politicians, there's a pathological, emotional, psychological need for the far right to be the real threat. Am I wrong? Exaggerate and manufacture the haunting spectre of dangerous far right, and you have a ready-made distraction you can pivot and deflect to every time you're reminded of the threat posed by invasive Islam. If you haven't figured it out by now, even Tory MPs kowtow to the Greens, Labour, Lib Dems in a fawning, servile way that is never reciprocated when Labour get into power, is it? Everybody has to humour and coddle the left, or else. But let me know what you think, everyone. Do you think I'm right on this? Do you think that ethnicity standard there, the actual amount, and then the amount of people that they've got in prison and in being investigated by MI5 as threats, nearly all Islamist, disgraceful, and proof that they're not looking at them in the right places just to fit an agenda rather than it being to try and fight terror, which is very worrying when it's our friends, our family, our cultures that are being attacked, isn't it? If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon, share it out, stay sane, see you on the next one.